the funk and the disco.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Oui Culture. It is Friday evening, of course, and this is when we sort of get into our real selves, so to speak. Yeah, who we really are, talk the talk, and everything else. And of course, it is always a pleasure to be here with you on a Friday evening. We welcome our viewers on GBN Television, our friends on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also our listeners on K105 FM. Yes, indeed. Well, of course, we quickly getting into the Christmas season, or we already there, but tonight we ain't talking Christmas yet. We have a lot of Christmas to talk. We ain't talking that yet. Last week we started a very interesting conversation as it relates to funerals, well, death and funeral, and how we treat with that, and also how things have evolved over the years, and we did promise to continue that discussion. Last week it was just myself and Doc. Reece is with us tonight, and we're quite happy to have her because, usually everybody or everywhere, does things in a particular way, except, they have their own way of doing things and they just do anything. But nevertheless, it's good to have them here. Doc, good evening, my what, man?
I'm pretty good. Just here for next day and next night and next moment. Just exploring our culture. So I just want to say, want to reach out to all the listeners on all the various medium, as usual, my usual opening, and saying good night to the Queen who is here with us. Last time I wanted to say a whole lot of things, but she was not here. But I still would want to recall that, she surprised me a lot because the last time I saw her doing some Shango movement, I said, wow.
Well, that is part of
it's cultured.
And Doc, we had the tape, eh? We have the tape. The tape don't lie.
But again, Godfrey, and look at her mom. Her mom was so elegantly dressed. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I couldn't help.
When you see her and you see she mom, you wish you was still in the family.
I wish. What are you talking about?
Well, you wish you was still in the. Well, I'm finding when you're talking there. You wish you was. You get short out.
Who put him out of the family?
Well, I don't know the way. Well, I don't know. I find the way he talking there is like, well, but with that, Lord, boy, you mean I lose all that? That's the way he come across, So I don't understand. So Reece, what going on? What happened to you? You disappear like things after you dance your Shango. I don't know what's
going on. A lot has been happening. First of all, let me say good evening to all our viewers, listeners, those who are on local television as well as those who are on social media. My apologies for having been absent last week, Friday. But my absence, what should I say? It's not like I was occupied at the time. I had a very long day, motorcade and all, came back, thought I was going to be late. But I got back in a timely manner. But I sat, speak to my mother, and I woke up 10:22. That's all. So I guess it's testimony to me being very tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that.
And
it's like that
I promised to look at the show after, and I haven't even gotten around to that as yet. So forgive me if I might repeat things, or in my speaking about the uniqueness of my beloved parish. If you find that because of what you heard last week, some things sound very similar, it is because it was copied by those who spoke before, and not necessarily that it originated from them. So bear with me. We're always leading in things, so others follow. Yeah, so I've been very tired, and it's the season. At the workplace, it's multiple things happening concurrently, stretched and all that. So yeah, but I'm here tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's understandable. It's the time of year when everybody, had to keep going and going and going and going. Things always happening. So we understand. We understand how the thing does go. You know what I mean? But
thank you for your hypocrite understanding.
Nah, no hypocrite. Don't say that, man. You can say hypocrite. I got your back, man. What's that?
I'm sure. Does anyone see my spine in his hand? That's how he got my back.
I've got your back, man. I've got your back. Don't worry about that. No. We understand how the thing go. You know what I mean? It's wonderful. But yes, last week we did, start a conversation, and some very, very interesting things came out. And like everywhere else, in Grenada, every little community have their, while, things are the same, but there's always that little uniqueness about how we do and say and everything, and of course that came out as well. But we spoke about how things were then, and one of the things I just want to go back on, and I mentioned the doc, in preparing for funerals, one of the first place you start is with the sickness that no doctor can cure. So once you get that sickness, you have to start preparing for funeral. I know it's the same thing in golf, but once people get the sickness of taking, once they take in, doctor can't find cure for taking. That's it, and that is it. So that's where the things start, and then of course we move on, and Doc spoke about the in the early days how things were done. I mean, we didn't have this, how you guys call it, highfalutin casket and all this kind of nice thing. People in the community would come together, get some whatever it is, put it together, you line that, and you do what you have to do. So there's a lot, but over the years we've seen how things have evolved, and today what used to be a very solemn and very sad moment, it's basically now a kind of fete. It's really referred to as a celebration of life. So we see, we ought to give us a Guelph perspective on all of that. I mean, how the thing is up there.
So
you're muted still.
Are you asking in the context of death?
Well, yeah, I mean the transition, yeah, because to get the funeral that way you start.
Godfrey, I think you should give a more recap of what some of those high points we made. Maybe not just for Reece, but for any new listener, a recap of some of the main points that were made last week. I see you are going through some of them. So if basically,
I didn't want to go through everything because I kind of wanted to, kind of get if there are any little differences, that we can probably look at and compare and see how things are, So that's why I wanted to get that kind of perspective.
So we're at the stage where we're talking about prior to death or leading up to death.
Yeah, just at that point. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so there was a time when it was old people that used to die.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of there was either an expectation, because as you say, somebody taking ill, they take in,
no,
or they're at that age where they've lived very long, and usually when it is someone who has, and I'm talking about the older folks now, when it's someone who has taken in, a lot of times you never heard what was the problem. In fact, it's almost as if like we did not have name for diseases, or some of the names were very colloquial. So it's a thing now when you hear people die of complications from, let's say, diabetes. But back then, you didn't hear so much of that. You might hear she had sugar, especially if there was some kind of amputation that happened.
Yeah.
Things like dialysis was like a one person who probably came from England who has maybe a dialysis machine, and I'm talking real life, right? Stories here. You hear about dialysis for the first time, you know? But I would like to believe that a lot of the people who died at older ages, where they take in, is because they probably were living with diseases that they didn't particularly know what was that condition that they had, but they had symptoms. And so you died from heart problem, or you died from pressure problem, or they had a stroke. We know what a stroke was because it debilitates you or something like that. Like, it was more about the visual, the physical signs that you could see, the symptoms, as opposed to some kind of diagnosis that based on several tests, it comes out that this person had this sophisticated name, disease that, you know. To me, that was it. It's like you're taking ill and you die. And it is almost expected that you're going to die, or, you know, you reach age for death. So things get weak, your heartstrings get weak. It was not very often that you hear or you expect that younger people would die. So usually when younger people die, it's because you know physically they had some kind of condition, and it was from the time they were young, so they didn't live very long, or a major accident, some kind of accident happened, and the cases of where they were so depressed that they take their life, right? And we didn't even know it as depression. What we know is that they just commit suicide. They take on something, they get some kind of stress, or they lose something that meant a lot to them, so they commit suicide. But we never used to talk about like mental health and this person is depressed and all of that. So those were the deaths to me that I recall back then. Is either you died from old age or disease at an old age, or you die at a young age because you had a disease that was early in your life, manifested, or you had an accident. And when those things happen, usually you would see at homes a lot of traffic happening, a lot of foot traffic. People coming because it seems like any day now the person might leave us. So everybody traveling, trying to come and have a last word with the person, people trying to beat flights. And a lot of time, they used to say, she wait for him to come. She has not seen him in so many years, since he went to England or wherever. You know, he didn't come back, and she wait for him because as soon as he reaches, she dies. What do you feel is that happened there? Or do you really feel that was like divine intervention? It's like she was actually waiting, and as soon as she see him, she say, well, I could die now. Or is it that the shock of seeing the person just give her a heart attack and she just
let me tell you something. This is very, very, very interesting, and it makes for very good discussion, because I'll tell you this. Just before my grandmother died, so she was hospitalized for a little while, came back home, she was fine, and I'm talking about the last couple of days. At the time my mom was in Canada, so she came back home and she was fine. A couple of days she was up and about, and then she just got ill again. And by that time I realized, well, no, that ill and looking like the ill when she went to the hospital. And so a couple of days, and I realized you weren't seeing any improvement. And I say, you know what, Godfrey, call your mom. And I called my mother and I told her, I said, listen, you know, Tini not looking well. And that's what we used to call her. I said, I don't find she's going to make it. And within the next day or two, I mean, she was just there on the bed and she wasn't speaking. So she was definitely going. And my mother got the first flight, came home probably within about 2 days. In fact, I recall very well the night, maybe about, she came home the evening, the night maybe about, I would say, about 11 o'clock. Came home, my grandmother was on the bed lying there, no speech. And then my mom came, held her hand, and she started crying, you know, and usual thing. And my grandmother opened her eye, looked at her and said, Loslin, you come? That's my mom's name. And that was it.
I'm sorry,
she
but
said
is it possible that Loslin come and just kill the woman?
No, but listen, she said that. She said that. And by about 2:33 in the morning, she died. So I'm just saying that to say, I mean, when you mentioned that, it came back to me right away because, I mean, this is, I always recall that. So, I don't know, maybe there is something there.
Or maybe it's just that they made it in the nick of time.
Well,
it's possible because my stepmother, I think we had that kind of encounter with her. Mm-hmm. As soon as her second son, who was in England for quite a while, showed up, it's like the same day by the night, she was gone, you know, but she had her faculties long enough to recognize that he was there, but it didn't take long after because of the condition and, you know. But we knew. It's like, just keep her home and give her palliative care because she's going. There's nothing you can do. So everyone was just, you know, you're in the house and you're there, you know, sympathizing and just doing stuff because it's important that you help out the family. You might clean, you might wash wares, you do things because, you know, everybody's kind of, you know, sad and trying to come to terms with, you know, any minute now might be the person's last breath. Yeah. So, there's also the death where it's just so, it's not old age, it's not an accident that you could think, but it's suspicious. Poisoning.
They spoil you, man. Spoil you.
Or you hear about dirty hands. You know, people do people, you know, and I think in some of these cases, that is where the mental stuff used to play out, because you probably can't convince a person that, you know, that what is wrong with them is not something spiritual or something dirty, but is actually a condition or whatever.
Alzheimer's. In fact, Alzheimer's is one of the things that, you know, when you think about it, it's been around for many years. But even with science, some of the fancy names are kind of coming into play now, and you kind of making that connection. But
what we used to call Alzheimer's back then? Because we never used to say dementia.
No.
And we never used to say Alzheimer's. I mean, as a child, I knew about Alzheimer's, but it became a thing. Because my great-grandmother had Alzheimer's, my grandmother, so, you know, had Alzheimer's as well. But to me, it was a new word.
Yeah, it
so
was.
There must have been something that we used to say. What is it? They're losing their memory?
They're losing their senses.
They're losing their senses.
Losing their mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just say losing their mind.
Yeah, definitely. That was it. I mean, there was
something I wanted to comment there. Godfrey, Reece. I think there is something spiritual. It is not a shock. I don't believe it's a shock. But there is a connection between maybe dying and holding on to life. Because on several situations, you're just waiting. I mean, you might use this situation overseas, but sometimes that person on the bed would say, I want to see that particular child. And, they demand they want to see that particular child. They would ask over and over. And when that particular child arrives, then 10 minutes, half an hour after, they kick the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that there is a special maybe willpower that they hold on to, and then they let that go. I cannot explain that. I don't know if science can actually explain that. But I believe there is something there when the person just let go and they say, well, that is it. That is what they hope to achieve, and then that they have no more tie to earth, and so they let that go. So I believe there's something special.
Well, I mean, let me come in here and probably be devil's advocate. But if you and what you saying, I mean, it makes a lot of sense based on some of the examples. I mean, my grandmother, as I told you, so it does make sense. But then, how do we parallel that with the fact that people die because of, so let's say in the absence of an accident, let's say age, that your organs are failing. So your heart is going, your kidneys going, all of these things, and your body's getting frail, and with age gradually, you lose it. How do we now explain that? Because that, of course, is a fact. We know for certain that with age, as you grow older, like a vehicle, things get old and everything don't work in as how we used to work. So how do we now parallel that to the fact that, there's this person who is there, and by some divine power or whatever it is waiting for this particular moment to just let it go?
But how do you explain the fact that because doctors have done several experiments, so they have placebos and they have medications, and people react the same way. Your body can actually react if you believe in something. So what's about willpower? Not divine, but what's about willpower? Can actually prolong you for an extra day or two. What make you sweat and behave the same way as somebody that actually get that special medication when you did not get it?
But okay.
So I think your mental faculty, the power of the mind, can do many things that we cannot explain.
Well, and we're getting into some serious discussions here, because you mentioned placebos and the real medication. The truth and the fact is, people who are given placebos, the truth and in fact is nothing is really wrong with them. It's a psychological thing, right?
Yeah.
So but they react the same way as they believe that they got the real thing and they act accordingly.
Yeah, but
so
believing
it is about fight. Is it about fight as opposed to giving up?
Yes.
But
right? So I agree with the willpower thing.
Yeah.
What you believe. You believe that you are being treated, and with that, your entire spirit, your willpower, your stress levels, everything is just at a state where it's good, it's favorable, so you may last longer, as opposed to the person who don't believe that whatever they're given is working, or that it can work, or that they're so far gone that there's no way they can come back. These people, some of them, they give up, so they don't fight. That willpower is not there. So I agree that there's willpower and there's fight. As Godfrey says, like, who's to say that, well, your organs were failing, but maybe to us, this person fought, but maybe when they die was when the organ just really couldn't go
any further,
and had nothing to do with fight as much as they probably fought.
But the thing
and
is,
who say fighting doesn't put stress on the organ too?
Well, that's the next thing. And that's why I'm saying it's a very interesting discussion. But I just want to go back on the issue of placebos. We have to remember that people who are given placebos, nothing is wrong with them. So the whole issue about fighting and willpower, I don't know how that impacts someone who is well. it is just to show that
No, Godfrey,
people
the
can
proof
believe
says that-
people can believe different things. But
No, the proof say that they are control groups. Both persons are in the same position. One are given placebo and the other one is given the real medication. Both of them can act same way.
Well.
Yeah, in the same way, because it is about your mental strength that can help and aid you in doing whatsoever you want to do. So it is possible that I think it is possible that people can use the willpower and can stay a little longer because they want to see that person. And then you can give up. You can give up.
So in the spirit of fighting and willpower and all that, I want to go out on a limb to say there's a selfishness about that whole thing there too, you know. Because you could fight and you're fighting for as long as until that person comes.
And soon as they come,
And when that person reaches, you just decide
you're done.
you go put them in a state of balling. Because as soon as you reach, the person reach,
That is
you
it.
say, that is it. Right? And on the other hand, the person come because they spend a long time. Don't come in. And
Look,
the
it's not always
person who is
overseas.
on the,
It's
on
not
the
always overseas. Sometimes the person could be on the job and their mom called for you.
well, yeah, but we're talking about the old time, eh?
Yeah, we talk about your time.
Those who
and the individual who ready to
dying
pick.
from old age and this kind of thing. Usually your family somewhere else or whatever. Because if the person is local here, chances are more often than not they are going and look for the person, that kind of thing. But it's usually those that they overseas they're waiting on. Right? So
That
you
they
have
see.
that level of selfishness. As soon as the person comes, you just put them in a state of balling. And so you make the person feel almost responsible for your death. Because as soon as you reach, you die. On the other hand, you have the family member that's been outside there for how long? Right? People telling you, come and see your mother, come and see your father. She thinks, she want to see you, whatever. Only until she reach in a state where she's sick, no. You have to find time to come. And then when they tell you, when it look as though it's any day now, all of a sudden, the time that you couldn't find,
You find
you could
it.
find it now. And you could find the money if you have to beg, borrow, go in a susu, whatever. And you come in. When you come now, the woman don't see you in how long. You shock the woman and you just kill the woman right there. That is selfishness on two different angles there, you know.
But we and Doc, just before you go, we kind of spoke a little on that last week because with all that Reece say, I guess to make up for all the shock now, you went and take $30,000 that you could have given her when she was alive to go and buy a coffin to put under the grave.
Someone commented last week on last week's program. She said, "Well, what's wrong with you and Godfrey? How only and Reece come and join the same conversation? How come only women are dying? Because all our examples are women that's dying. So what's about the men?"
Well, in the Bible, they always talk about men as representing the word man, representing woman as well.
Both genders, yeah.
That's and all you're trying to make.
Yeah, no, it's a fact. It is a fact. Yeah, it's true.
Hold on, Godfrey.
It's true.
Imagine that, death, and man making confusion about man don't getting called. All you get called in the Bible, everything is man, and we have to accept man mean woman too. But in death, all you're making confusion for that. Oh gosh, it's already a man's world.
Yeah, but Reece, you have to understand. That is the only thing about death, Death always a confusion, Because
anything about it, man fear death more than women,
So while we are at that
nah, man.
And then I think we hit that point there where we mentioned about dying and we went about overseas. And one of the reasons we said last week that make the difference is that before people would be buried like within 2 and 3 days. But now we have to sometimes wait on the son or the daughter or some other person that would want to come for the funeral. So I want us to kind of go into the funeral at this end. I think we are at a good juncture. Simply because overseas now make a major difference unlike before. I mean, you can get a phone call much easier. You can get a WhatsApp call, but almost in real time. Somebody can die and then somebody call you in New York and say, boy, I hear X or Y died in a village. And then you live in next door neighbor. And that just happened to me sometime last week. Somebody from New York called and said a neighbor of mine died. So I thought that was, well, you know, we are doing things in real time now, right? So again, it depends, unlike before, well, 2-3 days, and we mentioned about the ice box, and the fact that the coffin were made in the village. But now you have to go to the funeral agency, the morticians, and the morticians would prepare for you. We no longer have people just burying in breadfruit boxes or in small coffins. Generally, by and large, the agencies would have the expensive coffins. I think the cheapest one could be anywhere around 6,000 right now. But we mentioned last week that there was one I saw for 29,000. Yeah. And I was assured that people actually purchase this to buy. So we have a lot of factors now going into that. And of course, people go into the churches, and you go into the churches, and we ask some of the questions, you know, when you go to the church, sometimes the pastor recognize that, well, it's a long time we didn't get that amount of people in the church. So he gallivant, he preach. Services going on for, particularly if you are a standing member in that congregation, you get a full service, and the service can go on for as much as 2.5 hours there, you know, in the church. So I think when we look at funerals, I mean, I ain't going into, I don't know if we are right there. When you look at funerals, we realize it is much different from before. Before we had pallbearers, we used to have the coffin, and you know, you had chairs. We mentioned that last week. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And on the chairs, but now you have the hearse, and the hearse would carry the body from the church. We had something that was a little bit different some time ago, and it is one of those things that stayed with me: the burial of Tangala. When Tangala, our famous Calypsonian, there was a tent constructed in the playing field in Tivoli. And so he didn't go to a church per se. And the service was so much different. He had a lot of course, talent, and he had people coming to sing and people coming to give testimony about Tangala. And it was different from the regular. He had less of the regular church preaching. So I think that Tangala owner was at the part from the regular church service that we go to. And we have people that come to the funeral, and when they go to the funeral, those persons, they don't end up in the church. They end up by the rum shop.
Well, that's a funeral. They
end up by the rum shop. So sometimes, but again, they tell you the reason for people that coming out overseas and friends coming, what is the main purpose of your going? And the purpose should be to help, to give consolation, comfort to the bereaved. But I don't know if you come to my funeral, to come to give me that support, and I didn't see you end up by David Rum Shop, by Terry Healy Rum Shop, you know, or by Mr. Glasgow Rum Shop in some place in Carlivini, and you didn't come to the church. I don't know what is that.
But
how.
You know, Doc, but generally, I mean, people like that, the people who would end up by the rum shop on funeral day, are probably those who might be around the house throughout the period, you know. So where the death took place, these are people like, so let's say the person died Sunday, all Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they by the house, you know. because the same reason.
Some people coming out from OEO.
Yeah, but they
ended up in the rum shop.
Yeah, no, I say no, but they would have checked you in the weekend. I don't figure they would just. But there is another thing that when we talk about that, before we get there, I have to backtrack a little bit. The death announcement. The death announcement is a big thing, and so much so that it got to a point where even it had to be controlled, let's say from the radio station kind of thing, because the names started to get so long, the list of names started to get so long that it started interrupting and interfering with normal programming.
Well, it becomes a profitable thing because, when we compare that announcement, remember last week we mentioned that it was people used to go around with a shell.
Mm-hmm.
And they would announce Sakit and Palilot, so-and-so alley. And then they would go around the village and immediate communities and announce that. And then later on now, we now have radio announcements. But the agencies, I don't know if you know about this one, Reece, but the agencies, they allow you for immediate siblings, mother, father. And then if you want to add cousins and friends, then I think at one time it used to be $2.
But it's not the agencies. It's not the agencies.
Yeah?
Not the agencies.
For the radio stations?
Yeah, what the agencies?
So it's
No. You see, no. Let me tell you. That's how the thing doesn't work. You see now, everything with it. Well, a death announcement is an advertisement. All right, it is an advertisement. But the thing is, advertisements are based on time and all of that.
Yes.
And you have to remember that, in a radio station, there's programming. So there are programs that go at different times. But you can't, if you won't have an announcement just going, it has to be controlled. So you just can't.
Why is the agencies you make the arrangement with the agencies, and the agencies, I guess, pay the radio station? But I didn't thought. So for every name, every time you call, example, so if I had the Reece Sam, and I had Reece Sam, I had Gerard Jones, I had this, all extra names is $2 per call, right?
No, there is a fix. It's time. There's a fix. So I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it should be about maybe 3 to 5 minutes or 3 minutes for one. But
it's about over. I can attest to that. It's about. I became aware of it over 16 years ago, and it was a surprise when my grandmother died in 2009, and we went to Lacroix to do it, and we're used to hearing all these names, family, close members and stuff getting mentioned, and we were basically told that it's a thing now, that it has to be shortened. So you're allowed the mother, you're allowed the father, you're allowed all the siblings, the children. But then when you start getting to nieces and nephews now, X amount of nieces and nephews including and you might get to add 5 names or so. So you have to choose. Maybe if it have different aunties, you choose one from every family. Or if there's confusion in the family and thing, these names could get mentioned and the rest don't get in, right? The grandchildren, X amount of grandchildren, including X amount of great-grand. I'm not sure if there's including for the great-grand, but the idea was really to limit, because some people just had a lot of family. Like me now, if I pass away today or tomorrow, they have to put a real limit on me because I have a lot of siblings, a lot of family, right? So, I believe it was a media house restriction, so they had to comply with it.
It was way too long.
With the advent of social media, while we had to do like more than one death announcement, and I've had a few deaths since. So you do one for radio, but then you can do the full length one for like social media, like the go-go, and so they would tell you they would post everything. Right? So who don't get mentioned in radio, they could rest assured they could get a mention in on the social media ones, and then you too can post your own obituary, right? You can post it, because usually the agencies and them would help you write your obituary. But if you are capable of doing your obituary, just follow their rules and stuff and you give them. So you do the full length and then you concise it for radio and TV, and then you can send the full length one post it wherever you want. So yes, it's something that, because really and truly at that time, sometimes we just have season where plenty death. 2009 was one of them, especially in March Day for St. John's. March Day. A lot of death. That obituaries can done. As you said, it was interrupted programs.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there are times, even now, there are periods where, so usually the obits may start around, depending on the length, 6:30 to take you up to news at 7, and there are times when we have to cut at 7 for news, and then the remaining we air it from 8 o'clock. And one of the things too, I think people said take advantage, because you used to start hearing things, the boys by the shop. I hear people mention dog and thing name.
Listen,
the right honorable this and that. I mean, some people.
I like the idea of the animals. Left Moan, Kiara, Sarabi, and Nutmeg. I love that.
There's a drink or something.
Two cats and a dog.
No, but I mean, so, and that was creating a problem. For
some of the parliamentary reps. Watch me. I think today the parliamentary reps gets mentioned.
They had to stop that.
Yeah. So,
well, remember they sometimes help.
Yeah.
They sometimes what?
They help.
Or they sometimes help.
So
to be honest with you, I believe that this is just a political thing. And
it is a political thing.
Yes, I agree that they help.
Expenses.
But if I have to mention, let's say my mother, no, I don't say that, no. Let's say somebody close to me passed away, right? And they're like a strong party member, right? And I am putting in left to mourn the parliamentary rep. It says to me that was not a long-standing friend. Because if it was a long-standing friend or so,
you wouldn't put parliamentary
I should be able to say left to mourn, this something family, this person, whatever. Once I'm saying parliamentary rep or whatever, that is a person that come on board maybe as a sick or during the parliamentary term, right? Because that's why I'm singling you out as for your title,
exactly,
as opposed to who you are and what you meant to the person. Like a neighbor or a friend or whatever. To me, once you start saying the titles, and the titles need to go, because the titles robbing the family of having a few extra names in there.
Yeah. Parliamentary is a big word,
Yes. And if you say member of parliament.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And if you had to say Dr. the Right Honorable Self, imagine
exactly.
that.
And if you have to put in a middle name.
Exactly.
You have to put in a middle name.
That's a problem.
That's a lot.
It was a problem. I mean, personally for me, I think immediate family, I mean, I really don't see the big thing. Immediate family, and you might have, there are people who are very close in terms of friendship, yes, but going down the road with cousin this and third cousin, no. I don't think that is
So Godfrey, what we recognize is that lately funeral has been slightly changing, becoming modernized.
Slightly? Funeral change, bro.
As I said, at one time he used to come out from the home and they go to the burial site. Now, then it evolved, they go into the church, for full service. But you also find, if you make you see some things happening. Example, customization, what I call customization. So, customization, what I mean, you might have family members. Everybody decide they put in a special color or for the funeral, for the burial on that day. So that happens, just like almost like at a wedding, Some people are tagged, again, to show that you are close to a family member, to distinguish you from the regular sympathizers that come to your funeral. And again, customized, you might find happening, you used to play cricket. So somebody on your team come in with some cricket bat, a white cloth, or a football team, if you're part of a football team, etc. And then you mentioned the politics. I actually went to a funeral, and when they left the church, they were actually singing a political song. They were singing "We on the move and nobody can stop us now."
You always expect that. What do you expect of it?
That one was a little bit pushing it. So you know you have that people associate you with something that was prominent in your life when you died. But again, when we look at funeral, you're wondering, a lot of these ceremonies that take place, is it for the living or is it for the deceased? Is it for the bereaved or is it for the deceased? So the service, the eulogy, some of the things that are saying, we give a lot of thanksgiving, almost not thanksgiving, but praises on that day to the deceased. So again, is that for to appease us? So there are several things that happen in the funeral. One, first, the consideration in choosing the coffin. Secondly, the praises that are garnered on that person, the eulogy, the songs that are chosen, sometimes the very sermon itself, in praise of that person. And you almost guarantee coming out there that maybe what is happening is maybe we're comforting the living to say that deceased person has lived a good life. They were a good church member, and now they are going to meet the Maker in heaven. So the priest or the pastor almost give you that assurance that rest assured that person lived a good life, and now they are going to meet the Maker. I don't know if you get that, but I get that.
So you're saying a lot here and you're asking questions and you ain't giving us a chance to answer. You notice he doing that, Godfrey?
Yeah, man.
He asking the question in his presentation.
And he answered it for himself.
You don't let him know, but he like talk. You want to take all the talk for yourself.
You scholar in this scholar.
I'm being like scholar right now. Anyways, but I think what is happening here is the move from funerals being a very depressing time, a very sad situation where we have provided that self-therapy to choose to celebrate the person's life as opposed to mourn their death. Because that's a given. We are in our quiet time, in our minds, when we remembering, we are going to be sad, we are going to cry, that sort of thing. But we are choosing to celebrate the person's life. Hence now we have tributes taking up a big part of funeral now. Back then it used to be just a eulogy, where you talk about the person's life. And a lot of times we talk about the good things, but some of us are brave enough to talk about the bad things too. Right?
Really?
Yeah, some of us are brave enough to say.
I've never been to a funeral and heard that though.
And I've experienced it where, it might be presented as a kicks because the person is gone now. But, we've had these rocking circumstances where people say they're glad they're dead. Yes, I've seen it. I mean, social media is there.
Doc, don't forget, don't forget, they do things that are different. So I believe, definitely.
So what, based on what Reece mentioned something there, it is quite interesting. We celebrate the life of the person, and if you this is Godfrey coming straight from the homeland. That when someone dies, the spirit, it is believed, is liberated, and so they are not bound to all the miseries and problems of earth. So the spirit of the ancestors is now released. So, example, if you go to almost any Nigerian funeral, the pallbearers, they dance with the coffin, they do a series of things, and it's food. And then I mentioned food because I guess where we're going to that. So in Grenada now, celebration of the life is bringing us back home, back to root, where we are saying we release that spirit of the deceased, and now let us celebrate the life of that person. I also believe that because we are, one of the reasons why we go to funeral is to help comfort the bereaved. So the fact that now, unlike before, you have praises, you have laughter, you have jokes, you have things saying, even around the gravesite, even in the churches, people laugh. And again, immediately after that, it's basically sometimes music, fun, food. So we go into that happy hour where it's about a celebration. Now, I don't know, because sometimes the celebration could hit deep into the pockets of the living. Now, unlike before, every family is expected, the community is expected to come and bring things.
Mm-hmm.
Bring your yard fall, bring peas, bring yam. Now we bring cases of drinks, hard rum. We lots of food, many. I mean, sometimes you go to a hotel and you get a 5-course meal. In some funeral, you're actually almost getting a 3-course or a 5-course meal. You have your water here, you have your bacon and saltfish, you still have oil dung, you have your chicken and rice and chicken. So you get almost like a 5-course meal in some funeral. Now, at happy hour. Some people contribute, but a lot of the time now, it falls on the family to come up with this money, and some people take loan.
But the family want to do that. They want to do that. But hold on, listen, there is another thing. I just want to just go back a little bit again, Doc, before we come to the happy hour, because that is probably one of the most critical things with the funeral, the balling. Now, in a funeral, you're supposed to ball, and let me tell you, he had different levels of balling. In fact, the other day I was looking at I saw somebody post something on Facebook. It was real funny. So they were basically advertising themselves as a baller. And they tell you depending on so how much they charge depends on what you want them to do. So you have regular balling, just ball. If you want to ball and like fall on the ground and this kind of thing, there's a different price. And the last
elevated one.
Yeah, the highest level of the balling was when you jump down in the grave. and they can't, because these are things that happened before. When the coffin ready to go down, somebody would go down in the grave and you can't get them out, and it's problem to put on the coffin because they don't want them buried and all kind of thing. I mean, you see these things happen a lot. So balling was a critical thing. Now, part of the balling, there was something in the balling called counting reason. Doc, if you know about that.
Well, no, but I wanted to, I want to maybe endorse what you're saying. But the name used to be the tongue crier.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's in the olden days. Mm.
Yeah, the tongue crier was commissioned by the bereaved to talk about the goodness of the person. Well, I cannot imitate because people go have a real thing. But if, they would talk about, oh, Reece was such a good person. Oh,
I am.
We can't live without Reece. And look what Reece do.
No, you can't.
Reece do that, and the person would.
And I did nothing.
And the person was a tongue crier. Okay, that person was called a tongue crier. So you had that person, but this person was actually hired by the family. But Godfrey, apart from being hired, he had some people that they just go and balance people.
You buy a man, you forget Mr. Bill Popper. Mr. Bill Pope, listen, Mr. Bill Pope is going all funeral. He ain't know you, he never see you, but he come in the ball. And you had the ball. And the counting reason part of the thing, that was real fun, because you would hear people balling and saying things like, oh, she was be on her sugar, she was be on her flour, all this kind of thing. Doc, you know that, right? Exactly. Let me tell you something. Well, not so long ago, there was a funeral I went to, and this person was balling, and they started talking about they was calling the person name, and they were singing, "What you know about death? What you know about death? Fast you fast, fast you fast." And this kind of I experienced that personally. So you hear all these kind of things in funeral, right? I remember, I mean, this one was a classic. Actually, it was a child that had died, right? And you have more bias up there. Child had died, and the grandmother was bawling down the place, real bawl. And then somebody came with like a smelling salt. And they, to kind of, because people balling and thing, and they thinking, you had to kind of keep them. And they come with the smelling salt. And all of a sudden she stopped and she say, "What you have there? What you have there?" And they say smelling salt. She take two pull, and then she start to ball again. And it's ball. and so all of that, and the question I want to ask is, when you see these things happening, somebody's balling, is it real ball, or is just, as people will say, mawet they making?
So can I come in here?
Well, that's what I want you to come himself.
I'll talk about the ball, but then I want to go back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people, when they experience a death, because of how strong they are forced to be, they don't get to go through the emotions like others.
Yeah.
They're immediately after you feel that loss, or for a little period, it's like they have to be strong, almost as if
for
like
everybody else, yeah.
nothing happened, right? That they fall apart at that moment where the casket is being closed. It signifies an end, like the person would not be here anymore. Or when they are being put down into the hole, it says like the person is really gone now. So some people, you might find like they just lose it there. There are people who, when you hear them come and they tell you, "I was in the funeral and I real ball, I put on some ball there." That to me is not necessarily just grief. It is making a statement that you're supposed to ball, and you're supposed to ball more than maybe your other siblings. You're supposed to mark that ball, so your extra ball, right? That to me is not necessarily fully genuine also. But I wanted to go back a bit when you guys were talking about when someone dies, the whole when the funeral happens, that sort of thing. So right now, I have a very good friend whose mom died, I think it was a week before. But to us, that just happened, eh? And here I am, this week I think it was, realizing the funeral happened. So I couldn't go to the funeral. I didn't get to go to the funeral. The next morning, here I am, playing over the funeral to see, to experience what happened. So that to me, it was like she got buried quick, right? But it wasn't that quick. But it's just that it has become a trend that we take very long to bury people now, because as you say, family have to come and stuff like that, right? But my great-grandmother, I was born kind of like a year, I think, after she died. And I have always heard the stories that my grandmother was kind of my great-grandmother was different in a lot of ways. And she always wanted to be buried the same day she died.
Right. So
she died the morning, I think it was, and they bury her by the evening. So sunrise, sunset. Yeah? Now, that could have happened back then. When my grandmother, who is her daughter, died, before she died, she wanted the same thing. She wanted to be buried just like her mother. But that's 2009 now. And I remember she died a Friday morning, and we couldn't bury her the Friday evening because there's such a thing called a death certificate that has to be presented, and the funeral director needs that before anybody goes into the hole. So they told us definitely it cannot happen Friday, same day. So the closest we could get was a Monday. Now that weekend,
Yeah.
So you can't go to no government office or anything like that. So usher all coming to funeral like time for thing. I remember the funeral director asking for the death certificate, and he warned us that if you don't get no death certificate, nobody don't go in down and church happening and thing. So you find that that's kind of different culturally. We used to bury people quicker. And I think from the time we started hearing about embalming fluid and all that, you have people who are taking their sweet time. I remember there was this lady, what was her name? Omintrude? But she had a kind of long, funny name, right? This woman was there when my grandmother died. She was there being displayed for how long before? And my grandmother got buried, and they said that she was there for like over a year because she had a brother who was the only family member, and he was ill and he couldn't travel, and every time and he need to come so that this would happen. And the woman spent over a year by Lacqua not buried.
Yeah.
Yes, true talk. So from that point there, we started having this length of time because Lacqua don't charge for keeping the body there.
Well, I was about to ask that was my next question.
They don't. If they used to, well, we would have buried a little quicker, right? And then so we went through that period where we weren't burying as fast, but then COVID came and happened, and we went back to having like 10 o'clock funerals,
Yeah.
quick thing, close casket, put down in the grave, like, cremation became more of a thing and all of that. So we have gone through these phases of that. Now, when we talk about the celebration of the life of the person, as I said before, there's a reason why we have all these tributes and all of that happening. Because again, it's a personal life. That is why, as Doc said before, you would have like an entire sports team coming out in their uniform because we are celebrating, we are recognizing the contribution that they made to a particular group, a community. So they come out in the person's favorite color. The family might choose to wear the person's favorite color. Doc talk about the ancestral thing, and we know that traditionally red is the funeral color, but we don't see much people doing that here, wearing red to funeral. But
black and white.
Red too. Red is very ancestral when it comes to certain African nations.
Oh, African thing, yeah.
Yeah, red. So it's really a celebration of the person's life, and frankly, I prefer that. To me, it's a chance or a last chance at giving somebody their flowers. Sadly, we choose to give people their flowers when they did. But if you didn't get it before, at least we choose to do this now. That's
right. So, Doc, let's go to the telephone. We have a caller on the line. Let's see who is with us. Oui Culture, good evening.
Hello.
Yeah, caller,
Hello.
can you please turn the volume of your
Hello.
Caller, can you turn the volume
Hello?
of your radio down, please? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, can you turn the volume of your radio, your TV down?
I turn it off.
Okay, yes, so go ahead.
Yes. Something in the culture of funeral I like to bring forward that nobody has mentioned it is that is of the friendly societies. Now, in those long ago, nobody had insurance. There was no NIS. None of this kind of thing. So the church, and I think it's something I'm starting maybe the Catholic Church, they had these friendly societies. Yes, they had the friendly societies.
Yeah, you need to listen to the phone.
I turn it off. I turn off my phone, my radio.
Yeah, but you probably have your TV on, and that's why it's sounding delayed for you.
No, the TV is not under me here. Probably it's the TV in another room. Oh, Lord.
Okay, go ahead. Just go ahead. We're listening to you.
So the friendly societies were started by the churches to help families when somebody died. And so you would have those societies that after time had to be regulated. So there was a register of friendly societies. And you went once for the month, usually in the schoolhouse, to pay your society card. So you pay, probably it was a penny that you paid, and yes, you paid a penny. And when the person died, you got the grand sum of probably $2 or what. Remember, in those days, much of the work was done by the carpenters in the village and so on. So, but the friendly societies was a very integral part of the whole thing of death and dying in those days. I'd like you all to recognize that we had some big ones, like the Belmont Society. Some of them acquired property. There was the Library Society, Friendly Society, the New Providence Friendly Society, and I'm sure in the other parishes there was friendly societies.
I am aware of that because there was one in my area as well.
Yes.
So yes, well taken.
But it helped people quite a lot in those days.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Indeed, I know of that. I mean, Doc, we had one, the Society Hall in Tivoli, we had that there, where people used to go every Sunday and pay their society and so. So, definitely.
Well, I think with the death of that, you have then like the various agencies, those funeral agencies end up developing their own.
Yeah, they had the death, how you call it?
No, they give you, I think, about $3,000 off the cost.
Thereabout, yeah. Let's take another call. We have a caller on the line. Oui Culture, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening, caller.
Yes, good evening. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the person's name correctly.
So you need to turn the volume of your. Listen to us on your telephone. Turn down the volume of your radio or your TV.
Don't on the TV. Don't on the TV. Yes. I'm saying I'm not sure if I'm calling the person's name correctly, but the lady that they kept for over a year, her name was something like Fedora Toussaint.
Okay.
They had that body for over a year.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Somebody might clarify that name. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, Reece, I just believe you.
So you didn't believe me? I don't lie.
No.
A couple comments here.
Yeah, take some comments here.
Yeah, Elvis McIntyre on YouTube is saying, yes, I experienced that when my brother passed away. I had to be strong for the family, but when that casket closed, I just broke down knowing that this was really the end of him. And then on Facebook, we have, let me just scroll up a bit. Right, we have Sonia Matlin saying some men are afraid of doctors and death as well. Then we have Yulin saying, and they say, you never tell me you're going and leave me. Oh God, what I do to you? What I would do without you? How could you do me that?
Yes.
Dodo said, do you remember when they used to pass and ball out death? Sakit and Pale or Malambe Ali Ali? And then she said, I hear it was a lady in Grenada. People do pay her. There is a lady in Grenada. People do pay her to ball. She also said, I was told once the undertaker has not prepared the body. Once the undertaker has not prepared the body, they don't charge for time. But once the body is prepared and you need to change the burial date, then they charge per day. Don't know if that has changed. Dodo said this time change is not working for me because I keep forgetting the 1 hour difference. Oh, she's talking about a Oui Culture program.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Godfrey, there's some.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, I thought I thought the call was coming.
Funerals also have a lot of stories around it. Generally.
Oh yes.
People bringing the wrong bodies. People going to the wrong cemetery, falling for the wrong. I mean, I
falling for the wrong buzzer.
I want to confess, I had an experience where I went to a funeral somewhere. I think that was the first time I went to Mount Erie, and they had a funeral. So I went there, very solemn because I know the guy. We used to be around the market together. And then, while I did, I later on heard somebody saying, "Oh gosh, she was such a nice lady." In my mind, I went to the guy's funeral.
You went to the wrong funeral?
Yeah, so I guess it's the wrong cemetery or the wrong place.
So that was you.
But you have cases where they
but people have done that.
Yeah.
By the wrong body, and people say no, they're not Frank. They're not Frank.
That can't be Frank, but that could never be Frank. Let's take another caller. We have another caller on the line. Let's use it.
Yeah, and then after I'd like to say something.
Yeah. Oui Culture, good evening. Hello. Okay, we lost that one. Here we see.
Yeah, so in the spirit of celebrating the life, as we always say, St. John's will start everything. But I remember when Osra Lee died, she was a known mass maker long ago. When she died, we had what you call the biggest celebration on the street. It was basically carnival on the streets of Guelph down to the cemetery. That made news. That is how big it was. It's like the first time Grenada has ever seen funeral happen that way. Thereafter, we started having people doing more of that kind of thing. So if a fisherman dies, you would have the big fisherman banner would come out and people would dress a certain way. If it's like when my grand uncle died, Winston Cable Sam, another mass maker, it was another big thing. So you're talking about a DJ on a truck parading the road, going down, and it was not crying and bawling. It was dancing in the streets. People would come out in their costumes and stuff like that. So that whole celebrating. But when it comes to uniqueness and thing, we have plenty of that in Guava, and I don't like to put out our business because all you like to run with it and all you won't hear something and leave it where all you hear it. All you like to go with it and just say all kind of thing. But yeah, we have some real unique things. I mean, we would jump down in hole and mash up casket. Watch that, mash up the body and all. Like we do a lot of stuff when we are grieving, as people from Guava. We from St. John's, we do a lot of things that might have your jaw dropped, but I'll just leave that there.
I'm fine. I agree. You should leave it there. Let's take a caller. We have a caller on the line. Oui Culture, good evening. Hello. 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 Hello, good evening. Good evening, caller.
That person sound like they called from the hospital by the coffin,
I find so. Hello. Yeah, we lost that caller. All right, 435-2040. We probably have time just take maybe one or two quick calls. Let's try one again and see if we're gonna get through. Oui Culture, good evening. Hello.
What's happening?
Yes, good evening, caller. Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, good evening, caller.
With regards to funeral, previously, before we had so many undertakers now studying the thing and the embalming, the funeral agency, when somebody died, would come to the home. And I remember we had a funeral agency in Grenville, Mr. McQueen, and they would take away the dead and, give their little injection. And so we would know because we'd be peeping in some hole to see what is going on. And in those days too, you had a lot of these things used to be done in the home. And they used to pack a lot of ice around the body. So I don't believe that, they had all of this embalming stuff that could stay for so long, because there were times when you would find that somehow you probably get false sense, and some people want to move back as compared to nowadays. You see people want to kiss and hug the bodies and so. And the people before, to me, I would say that the sick people stayed in the bed for longer times. You used to have, people spending time with loved ones coming from other villages to, help keep and see about the sick. But to me now is like, by the time a person hear of their condition, in 2 weeks or a month, they're gone. And these are some of the things I remember of, having a dead long time ago. They even used to build a coffin around the home. Nowadays, that is not accepted. But I do believe that you have local funeral agencies, furniture shops, making coffin now, and these are a little cheaper than the caskets that we have imported. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, very interesting. Doc, you was going to say something because before the call.
So Reece mentioned that they have some very special things on that side of the island, where the sun does the set. But anyway, there was a special situation in St. David one time with a special priest, where those guys on him had decided that they didn't want the member to be buried, so they jump in the grave. Mm-hmm. And that particular priest in St. David, he grabbed his spade, and he said, we're gonna go through with the funeral. Mm-hmm. So maybe in Goa the other priest might allow them to jump, but some places that won't happen.
They go jump, but they will jump in, but they can't jump out.
Yeah, right.
All right. But we listen. We out of time. We see. I don't know. Yeah. We have any more comments that we?
No, I don't see any more.
Right.
Except for Rachel Henry that is saying the person calling from beyond the grave. I'm not sure in what context she's mentioning that, but no, I don't see any. Mm-hmm. So maybe I can give my closing remarks now?
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm not sure what we're discussing or if we're continuing, but I think there's a reason to continue this topic next week, because I want to know, I have a little peeve. There are people in Grenada who like to go and see dead bodies. They have a fetish
for that.
I want to know, maybe we could get a funeral director to come to tell us about certain things that we say we hear about, like, to do with the charging for body staying and all that. Maybe we could get a funeral director to come and talk about some of those things in a general sense. But I want to know, what are the rules or the limitations when it comes to people who have this fetish for going and look at dead bodies? What are the limitations? Because I know people, they don't just go to see people, and they're outside in viewing room yet, they're in draw, and they pulling out draw for people to see people. And I believe some of them things that they couldn't see when the person was alive.
They want to see it when they're dead.
They feel they could see it when the person dead. So they go in and watch. Right? So right now, Lacroix is from Guelph. Yeah? There used to be Otway Bailey, Otway had Guelph. I'm not sure about the Bailey, right? But, you can have an allegiance. My mother tell me she and Otway and them used to play in the same yard, thing like that. So you can have an allegiance and you say, well, my body will go by Lacroix. Because you also give discounts and things for certain parishes and things, right? But then because you were here, people was go by Lacroix and Otway, right? To look at bodies, right? And you don't know when exactly you're going to look at body. I start saying when I want to send me body in Grenville, where people already know. Why
hot wax?
So I want the funeral directors to come and tell us what is allowed and what is not allowed. At what point can somebody view the body? Do they look for ID or connections? Do they get like a list of people from, or if, let's say, a list is not given by the key family member who's handling as to who could come and see, if they just allow anybody to be able to come and say, I come to see that body, and they pull out the body, and the person had to see all the things that they couldn't see when the person was alive, they're able to see it when the person dead. I need to know.
No, I would try. Yeah, I would try and talk to my about
yes, let's try again because we have a lot of questions.
Oh, definitely. But even so, I think a nice conversation would be like following that. Maybe the days after the funeral, like how people the kind of experience. I think it'd be a good discussion. So we can definitely continue next week.
Dodo just told us that as Catholics, November is celebrated as the month of the dead. Great discussion, I guess, with All Souls and All Saints.
Kind of thing.
The month of the dead is celebrated or recognized or however we want to put it. But so we need to talk more about these things. There's a lot more that we can discuss where death and funeral is concerned.
Definitely. So, Doc, your closing.
My closing. But there are many people. I mean, this that listen to the program, and maybe next opening, I would say that at the opening, but it don't make no sense. But there are a few persons outside that are really faithful. And there are two persons I would like to always commenting on the program. One is Johnson Booker, so I want to say shout out to Johnson Booker. And I have an adopted niece in Canada who is so very much connected, always talking about Godfrey and Livingston on the program. Her name is Juliet Callis from La Poetry. So shout out Juliet, one of our number one fan, and say hello to Tashin for me. So Juliet, if you're listening, let everybody know that Juliet is one of our main fans. So just that as a close tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Juliet is a fan because she's from La Poetry. Juliet bias.
How Juliet doing it?
What's that? You notice Juliet, though, is not a fan of scholars. She's not a fan of Reece. She's a fan of Doc and Godfrey.
But everybody's a fan of Reece.
No. Don't try that, Juliet.
But I showed you that.
The program. She's a fan of the program, but she knows Godfrey.
Anyways, Juliet, thanks for tuning in.
Anyway, let me close by saying I just want to kind of switch gears a bit and to let you all know. I think I had mentioned it maybe a couple programs ago, but it just dawned on me that come next week, there would be a special. I don't know if everybody could see it, but I know Guelph people would be able to see it. But I think there's going to be how should I put it? A illuminating spectacle in the night skies as a member of the ILO will be laid to rest. So I just wanted to put that down.
That group that you lead.
Yeah. So yeah, there's gonna be some the night skies will be illuminated as members of the ILO would do their thing. But anyway, folks, that's all the time we have tonight. Thank you very much for staying with us, and we look forward to coming back with you next Friday. We're going to continue that discussion because there's a lot to talk about, and of course we're trying to engage you some more. So thank you very much. Do have a wonderful weekend, and of course we'll catch you up next week. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Northern Nigeria aborted due to security concerns. The move comes after
Let we set it on fire.